picking off most of those Zerglings, but still 4 Zerglings left. And not able to quite pick off that probe. So we got some lurkers coming out here for Jaedong. So some early lurker play, lurker opening from Jaedong. It looked like it was going to be like a 5-hatch Hydra, but no, it's going to be a lurker opening. And if he produces some nice Scourges to prepare for the eventual observers that come out and starts popping off observers, we could see a really nice contain go down, especially at the 3rd base, which is a mineral only for Stork. We just saw the Nexus go, but you can really get some lurkers there on the high ground. If you get lurkers on the high ground, you will have a Protoss player in just a really, really bad position. It looks like right now these lurkers are going to need to be used defensively. We got a couple Templars and some Zealots and probably a Dragoon or two going down to the bottom right hand, going to try and go and put some pressure on this 3rd base, which I think is a very, very smart move. Going to here try and put some pressure on, and the hope here probably is that he can open up another avenue of attack. I don't know if he really wants to press this. It looks like he is going to press it with some nice storms. Those Hydras are kind of clumped up. A decent storm there, doing a good amount of damage, actually killing off three Hydras and doing some damage to a lot. And now the Zealots are pouring in here, doing some good damage, and a Dark Templar able to defend the 3rd for Stork. So some good damage being done there. And now the Lurkers really need to come home, and it looks like that's what they're doing. Going to be able to come back here, and as long as not too many drones go down, this could be overall successful, but those drones could get picked up. Oh, if that storm had been placed a little bit more to the right and up, he could have still gotten a decent number of Hydras and gotten all of those drones. That would have been so epic, but no. This entire attack for Stork is going to get cleaned up. He's done some damage to the Hydras number, but he lost his entire force, and that's not a trade that Stork should be willing to make. That is not a good trade at all for Stork, and Jaedong's going to be pumping off 4 bases right now, 4 base, 3 gas, and that's just a really nice spot for him. We got 4 gateways maybe for Stork, I think, pumping, which is just not going to be able to counter this 5 or maybe even 6 hatcheries now. Yeah, it looks like 6 hatcheries now for 7 hatcheries. Jeez, we got 7 hatcheries now for Jaedong. Jaedong's going to be going for a really strong mid-game army here. I'm going to be Hydra Lurk, it looks like right now. It looks like Zerglings may have been brought in here as well. Yeah, there we go. There's a lot of Zerglings and Lurkers and Hydras. Just a very, very mixed force right now. I haven't gotten a chance to look at the upgrades. It looks like +1 weapons for Protoss. And for Zerg, it looks like, I don't know, that DT has 7 kills. So it's picking off a couple more Zerglings here, a couple more Zerglings there. But Jaedong is bringing some units into an Overlord into to scout this out, and the Lurkers are being morphed up on the high ground there. But there's just not, every time I see Lurker eggs like that, I'm like, where's the storm? Maybe you can pick up all the Lurker eggs, but it's just not going to happen in this situation. It's going to be so hard for a High Templar to really get up there and survive long enough to get a storm off. It's going to be really, really tough for him. So we are going to see a contain here by Jaedong. Going to establish a nice strong contain. Going to continue pumping off of these 7 hatcheries. He's going to be able to produce a ton of units, and we got a Queen's Nest coming out as well. So this is going to be pretty early hive as well. I can't tell the minute that we're in because this is on OSL on OGN instead of whatever the other one, MBC. So MBC I know, or at least whatever. The previous games had a timer on it, which is really, really sweet because you get to see when they actually get their attacks off and things, which is pretty cool, but not in this case. And that Lurker looks like it might actually be getting into the supply line, the mineral line, which would suck if it actually was. And a lot of Dragoons out right now for Stork, but there's a lot of Zerglings and Lurkers out, and it looks like Stork is going to be able to stop this attack from coming in at his small ramp. But he needs to get his army a little bit better positioned here. He's got a lot of Dragoons out front, there's Half in the back, and Templar on the back as well, but not large enough of a force here for Jaedong. And Jaedong kind of pressing the issue here. I'm surprised that he's pressing the issue with his Hydros when his Lurkers aren't really in position, and he's losing a lot of units here. Kind of throwing away the advantages that he had from the beginning of the game when he really built a nice strong lead. Well, maybe not a strong lead, but he certainly built at least somewhat of a lead there, and kind of just threw it away with that kind of ill-planned attack, ill-executed attack. I don't think Stork's positioning was necessarily all that great. His Zealots weren't even in the game in the battle for the most part. But he was attacking with just Hydros against Goons and Templar, and that was not going to work. But here's Jaedong's newest army pumping out of those 7 hatcheries. We got an Archon formed as well, and this army should be able to do a little bit more damage, especially if the Lurkers come in from the back, which it doesn't look like they're doing. Okay, now they're turning around and going to get in there from the back. But Jaedong just a little bit slow there, getting those Lurkers into position. Look at this. Those Lurkers should have been going down there to be there in the back. They should have already been there, and it's a little bit late. But oh, stop Lurkers from Jaedong. This is gonna be terrible. This is gonna be awful. Look at all this death. Stork is losing so many units here. This is so terrible for him. Actually, surprisingly, Stork has a lot of units left alive. I thought there would be a lot more death there. It looks like he was actually able to That Observer came just in time, was able to actually pick off a lot of that, but he lost a ton of units. I'm sure that everything in there for Stork is damaged, and it looks like this is mostly going to get cleaned up. More Lurkers coming in, and Hydras coming in from the bottom as well, and Jaedong's going to actually clean up most of it anyways. That was really brilliant by Jaedong with those Lurkers coming in from the back. I wish they... It was a little bit later than I thought they would come in, but you know, better late than never, and doing a lot of damage there. And the Hive is up, so we should be able to see some nice upper tech here. Gonna get some cracklings out, and we'll see if he goes with either Defilers or Ultralists. Which one we'll see. It does look like he's taking the 6 o'clock base as well. I think Stork is trying to take the top left base. 3, 5, 7, 8, 9 hatcheries right now for Jaedong, pumping. And he's gonna have a 4th gas soon enough. And once he gets that 4th gas, he'll be able to really pump out a large number of units. In terms of tech units as well, not just regular units, but in terms of tech units. Right now we're seeing a lot of Zerglings mixed in with these Lurkers, because just, you know, you only have so much gas. But once you get to that 4th gas, you can do a lot. Great storms by Stork! Beautiful storms by Stork! Wow! Some brilliant storms by Stork! That's exactly what he needed. Slaughtering yet another army of Jaedong. Jaedong's army looked like it wasn't trying to attack. It looked like they were maybe trying to set up for another contain. Maybe some of those units were going to go to the top left and try and take down the base that was forming. But in transit, Stork able to place those storms brilliantly and catching so many units within those storms, and was able to clean up pretty much that entire force. Wow, this game has certainly evened up with that. That exchange has certainly evened up this game pretty solidly. Even until then, I would say that Jaedong was still somewhat, at least slightly in the lead. That was absolutely brilliant by Stork there, catching all those units. We've got a large number of Zerglings moving towards the top left. We'll see if those cannons warp in the time, and if they're enough to fend off. If these are cracklings, they will not be enough, but if otherwise they might be. And actually, those are some well-positioned cannons, so those Zerglings actually can't get in there, but the Nexus being forced, I assume, to cancel. I hope that was canceled, and Zergling's finally going to get cleaned up here. So he's going to have to place that Nexus again, but that's going to take more time before Stork can get his 3rd gas. And once you see the 3rd gas for Protoss and the 4th gas for Zerg, those are the important gases, I feel. Those are the really important gases in PvZ. That's when you start to see just a lot of tech come out. That's when you start to see massive numbers of Archons, when you start seeing swarms with tons of Lings going in there to pick off bases. That's the kind of stuff that you see when you get to that 4th gas of Zerg, and you get to the 3rd gas of Protoss. You start to see Reavers starting to come out in higher numbers, and it starts to become a very, very entertaining game. Starts to become very, very fun. I would love to see Stark maybe even intermix some Dark Archons. That would be very, very cool as well. Maelstrom, as we all know, is just a ridiculously powerful spell.